Hi, I'm Mike Freeland, and this is a story about my obsession with vintage arcade games.
Try to chase me down, but I'm gonna get away.
You guys been in the 80s lately?
I've got been more alive, and I love this game. Another castle, the king to your palm.
Oh my God.
You might as well take your time, 'cause I'll be here all day long. She's a pixel paradise.
5,000-6,000 points, I'm still alive.
Yeah, she's a pixel paradise.
5,000-7,000 points, I'm still alive.
Yeah, she's a pixel paradise.
5,000 points, I'm still alive.
A hobby is something you do on a Sunday afternoon. You go play golf or you watch cooking shows and you cook. That is freaking cool. An obsession is when you have 92 arcade games. I've always collected it, and I've always had to have a huge collection, whether it was I started out collecting comic books and baseball cards. So once I started down the road of buying my first game and I realized I could actually own a full-size arcade game, I was like, gosh, wouldn't it be cool to have a full arcade? Last October, I was pretty much at the point where I was going to give up from the second time trying to open up my own arcade. And I ended up going to and having to sit down with Ken McLean and talking with him, and pitched him the idea in a weird twist of fate. He said he always loved the idea when he heard it, and then we started talking and we ended up forging a partnership to open up the arcade here in Independence. He wanted to open up by spring, and so I worked very hard over the next 3 months to bring in graphic designer Dave Farley with DCO branding to get us up and running, to have everything. I understood how important the bones of a good brand and you know, not to just open the doors and have arcade machines, but actually to create an atmosphere and an environment and something that people could talk about.
Trying to make it something new, reinvent.
He's remarkably willing to hear criticism, and he's remarkably bullheaded at the same time. It really is a joy to work with him. He's very passionate. He's one of the most driven people I've ever met.
Oh my God, that's it right there, dude. That is it.
Mike's love for these arcade games, I think, leads him to want to preserve that and to do it with absolute style.
So what we thought about doing was notching out in the concrete. So basically in that notch, we can put LED strips. But so the floor plan is going to be a little bit Tron-esque. We're going to just have random lines and the neon strips running through. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to do like a high gloss concrete floor, so it's reflective. So all the lights will in turn reflect off the floor as well too. The building used to be a theater, but how do you tie that in? So we just came up with the idea of, what if we actually use the ceiling as a projection system?
Mike comes to me with huge ideas, and it's up to us to figure out how to accomplish them.
That's what makes America great. You can have an idea, you can implement it, you can just as easily fail though too. You know, a lot of people just did it as hobbies. I always had the intention of, I always wanted to open up an arcade, so it was kind of a pipe dream, but over the years I started amassing 50, 60 games in my house. So when my kids were born and they grew up, they just thought it was normal to have 60 arcade games in your house. My hobby went from playing the games to collecting the games to almost, it was kind of more of an obsession to even just find the games. I was just like, should I break into this place or should I just wait? It was almost like a treasure trove to find old operators that would operate the games back, that they actually bought the Pac-Man or Centipede brand new. They operated them, made thousands of dollars, and they put them in storage. So many times we've gone through barns and warehouses and buildings just like this that have been locked up for, you know, a couple decades. We've been the American Pickers since before the American Pickers were on TV.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Mortal Kombat. Is it pretty safe up
Yeah,
here?
it's safe.
Oh, look at that. That's not the original
I know. It's-
joystick. And that works, huh?
yeah, it does work.
Funny thing about this is Steve Jobs helped produce that game.
I'll hit you when you're gonna
Empty.
Yeah, I think the other two have.
There's like a Pac-Man machine here, but it's not, I've never seen anything like this.
Well, what we did a lot of was converting.
Oh, okay.
The name of the game was Gotcha.
There's stuff I'm mildly interested back in here, but not to move everything. All it needs is this removed, a new marquee, and I can put a computer in it to play Black Widow. It's got the original Wyco joysticks. I think I am going to buy this machine. Hopefully he'll go take less than $200 because it's a turd.
Give me $200 for the Gotcha cabinet and that cabinet in there. Put them both for $200.
I'll do that. Cool.
You want that?
I'm kind of curious to put it in a pile. It's got turds all over it.
Yeah, unless you want to throw an extra $20 on it or something.
You throwing that keyboard for that?
Oh!
It's that marquee, I mean. That cabinet I just picked up.
520?
Sure.
Sounds like a deal, like.
Frank spent $60. I spent $1,240. Holy crap, look at that. That's 30 years old. That is almost in perfect condition. It was crazy pics. I fell through a glass window. I think somebody was doing cocaine in the other room. Inside one of the Pac-Man machines, I found a scorpion. It's almost like a whorehouse. He was on meth or something. There was like a bat flying over our head. Women like dressed scantily clad. I stopped the truck just shy of the swimming pool. So we had some good stories to go along.
70. I'm going to guess 77, 78.
Okay.
Somewhere in that area.
Someone like Dwight was someone that was kind of like folklore, where you heard about this guy that had these huge warehouses, and he was still operating that stuff, which is kind of hard to fathom, thinking he still got Pac-Mans and centipedes on location, still making money for 30 years.
As time has gone on, you're seeing guys like Mike, Frank, a lot of them over the country that are going around looking for those old games that they liked back there years ago. Well, they're hard to find because people like us, we destroyed those games.
You want to know what happened to all the classic machines? This is it. Got converted to a turd. Once they stopped making money, they were converted to Street Fighter, to Mortal Kombat, and they would just take the parts off and either put them on the shelf or throw them in the trash.
We call them conversion. You buy a conversion kit. You buy this kit for a third of what the game costs and stick it in your cabinet, and you bring your cabinet back to life, and you start making money with it because you needed another Pac-Man somewhere.
A lot of times you'll still find the old cabinets, but the guts have been removed. Yeah, the side art's been painted and cut. Although, you know what? You can almost see the side art. Look at that. The sticker on top of the sticker, see? So to restore this like that, my God, that Black Widow control panel might actually be in good shape underneath there. So they even left the Joust glass on there. They painted over the Joust side art.
No kidding.
Yep. I've restored a couple of these back, but it's a lot of work. Every one of these that you see here is a game that's been converted or destroyed.
You're fortunate if you find somebody like myself that maybe kept the board back, maybe kept the control panel.
You know, really brings home how few of those games are really left out there. Some of the machines I've got in my collection, they only produced 100 or 200 machines originally. And if most of them got destroyed or water damaged, there may only be, a couple dozen left. Just to see all those machines destroyed, it's pretty heartbreaking. Even though people love the games, the arcades slowly disappeared one by one by the mid-'80s. The arcade owners bought a game like Miss Pac-Man. It would make $1,000 or $2,000 what they paid for the game back within sometimes just a week or two. It was all the rage to have the newest game, so the arcade owners wanted to make sure they beat the other arcades by having the biggest inventory or the newest games.
$2,000, $2,500 per game price at that time. As you can tell, if you just put 10 games in a place, you had $25,000 wrapped up. There's no way that it was ever going to pay for itself as it go along.
All of a sudden you hear about all the other kids talking about the Atari 2600.
All these games started coming in on these consoles, and every younger person had it on his TV at home or his dorm room or wherever it might be.
And then pretty much overnight, you stopped going to the arcades.
Pop it in, play it, and I don't have to go to the arcade. I don't see that there's any way that just an arcade could ever exist.
Well, so much has changed in the past year that it's almost so convoluted that I don't remember where we started from. I mean, we've had so many conversations. Last November, I met with Ken and we were excited to get the Electric Theater Arcade started and open by April. There was quite a few delays, getting into Plowman's building, getting him out of the building, clearing out all the crap without request or me giving consent. I had a group of interns to lead. I tried to guide them through to show them what my vision was, how I thought that we could, make money. See, what I was thinking is if this is a stage right here, and then you could put the portable bar right here. It was going along pretty smooth, and then I went on vacation for about 2 weeks, and when I came back, everything had changed business-wise. Joked about having, waitresses on roller skates and making it a really cool, fun place. Suddenly it was going to be one employee managing the whole thing. First time they presented their business plan to me was when they did their business plan in front of Ken at the meeting, and that's when it got shot down.
I mean, I just don't know. That's what they're here to discuss and to try to work out.
I would have liked to have a say in what those final numbers were. I was pretty pissed off. I'm still pissed off about it. They had said that people have to pay $26 a person between food, drinks, and I'm like, in this economy, that's ridiculous. And Ken wasn't pleased with it either. He said these numbers are not feasible, which I had to concur with. I said they aren't feasible. I just sat on stuff for about 2 weeks and just said, what are we going to do next? He's obviously not going to spend the money to restore the building because the revenue numbers weren't going to justify it. I emailed Ken and I said, you know what? I'm confident this can work. We've got a big festival coming to town, Labor Day weekend. You give me a storefront, I'll put the games in there, I'll publicize it, I'll get people in the door, I'll show you the revenue we can make that over a weekend. Big Santa Caligon opening weekend. We were here till 3 o'clock in the morning last night getting everything ready. We're exhausted, but we're excited to open the doors, got the key, got the machines all ready to fire on, and hopefully we'll get a good response. I don't know whether people are going to show up or not, and we're looking forward to it.
I'd hope that somebody would think that maybe us older guys would want to relive our younger days, and somebody finally thought that too.
I love it. Haven't seen a lot of these games in a long time.
I got the keys to get in at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, and we had the place completely ready within 48 hours. It was pretty incredible. The volunteers that came out, I can't thank them enough. They wanted to see this happen as much as I did. It's been an incredible weekend. We have had a huge response. We've had people that have driven in from Chicago, from St. Louis, Missouri, from Manhattan, Kansas. This weekend has kind of been the fruition of all the hard work, and glad to see it become a reality. Even though we had a lot of success with a lot of people coming in, it was just a test weekend. I've yet to get confirmation for going forward with the arcade. I had some response after about our success saying, was it the arcade that was successful, or was it the festival, was it the pizza shop? And they're like, well, they were still disputing it.
Failure, that's not an option for Mike. The ideas are so big and his passion is so overwhelming that it can intensify the ups and downs.
The Square Pizza was going to keep a party room up there anyway, so we worked out to where we ended up keeping a dozen games in their party room. Is it the original plan I envisioned? Absolutely not. Is it where I want to be? Absolutely not. And so I feel like I failed 4 different times now getting this thing open, but I didn't expect to spend 12 months just convincing and hoping the project will come to fruition, buying games, getting them ready to fill an entire huge attraction to put 12 games in a pizza shop. I mean, I could have done that a year ago and had time with my family. At this point, we are kind of back in the planning mode with the arcade. What ultimately needs to be decided is if we're going to stay as a small-scale operation or whether we can, take that success and make it on a large scale with my grandiose plans. But I've got 90% of my collection in storage, so we are moving forward. We want to still renovate the old Electric Theater, so I'm still acquiring games. I'm still fixing up the games I've got so that when we do open up, it will be hopefully as grand as I envisioned.
Mike amazes me with his ability to adjust and adapt and overcome in business scenarios, but I haven't seen him outright give up on anything yet.
I think the arcade can be a huge success 365 days a year. I think it's something that you put that music, those games, it really is an interactive museum. I think it's important for me to have them for my kids so that they can see and play them, and it's part of Americana, it's part of video game history, so I think it's important to keep that alive.
Yeah, she's a bitch.